What's up my loves, my name is Paige, this is Pages with Paige, and today we're going to be doing an unhaul. Right out of frame over there, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 stacks of books. I wasn't intending on doing another unhaul. I was going to keep these in my cupboard for the longest time, basically till the end of the year, but might as well film this, then they can stay there for however long they need to be, or pack them into bags and figure out what the fuck I'm doing with them. I did a live show back in June, July. That was you guys in the comments giving us prompts to then find a book to match to unhaul, and I struggled super hard throughout the entire night. Like, I was just like, I am so stuck, I can't make a decision. And then we went for an hour sprint towards the end of the night, and that happened. I'll leave the questions linked below, but I'm not assigning the books that I did on the night to them again today. I'll just leave the questions linked below. And feel free to see which ones you would apply for the questions, and feel free to do this. If you do, please tag myself and everyone that was on the live show. I'll leave all of them linked down below as well. I actually had forgotten about this idea, and then Krystal reminded me, so thank you Krystal, that we were going to do it that way. So, I've got a lot of books. I have no idea the actual amount. I did not count them. Some of them are read, some of them were previous TBR books, and basically I'm just gonna stack them up behind me, beside me, back out of frame. Who knows? There is literally no rhyme or reason to this anymore. It's basically however they fit into my unhaul cupboard was how they fit. I did also remember to wear my bye books while I'm saying bye to these books. So very happy. And then obviously my favorite shirt is accurate. So let's dive in and figure out how many fucking books this is, because there's a lot. Starting with the ones closest to me, I have the 4 Hannibal Lecter series. So Red Dragon, Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal, and Hannibal Rising by Thomas Harris. I just don't need to have this collection on my shelves anymore. I've read them and I'm happy for them to go. Then I finally bit the bullet. I'm not reading them. So this is the View from the Mirror Quartet by Ian Irving. The first one is a bind up, and then we have 3 and 4 in individual books, and they're just so daunting. I'm happy for them to go. I will not be giving synopsises about what these are at all. If I even give you a reasoning for why they're going, we'll be lucky. Grab a tea. I don't think it will be a long one because I will go quickly, but you know, it's always nice to have a beverage. Next up, I have the Inheritance series by Christopher Paolini. I finally read Inheritance in August for the Amazing Readathon, and I am done with the series. I don't want to continue on with the short story collection or the new series that's coming out, so they can go. Inheritance is literally falling apart at the seams. Oh my god, this is going to be so frustrating if the focus is not going to work. Then I have an Arc of the Glass Hotel by Emily St. John Mandel. I read this in August and just don't feel the desire to keep it on my shelves. Then I have Terry Pratchett, The Complete Discworld Atlas. I thought I was going to love Terry Pratchett more than I have ended up doing so, and so I am just going to unhaul this. This wasn't on my TBR as it's more of a reference book, but it's still leaving. Then I've got Alana the First Adventurer by Tamora Pierce. I literally have the exact same copy, and I would like this to be in the hands of a child that could actually really enjoy it. I don't need 2 copies. The Journey by John Marsden. I think there are more John Marsdens floating around. I thought I wanted a teenage nostalgic shelf, and I do in a way, but not with these. I go back and forth between purchasing these and unhauling them all the time. It is now the unhaul time. And this version of Assassin's Quest by Robin Hobb. I intend on buying the illustrated edition eventually, and so I don't need to keep this copy while I'm waiting for it. I cracked the shits with my classic shelves and was ruthless. First I've got Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. I'm not going to reread this edition. It's alright, and I think there is a cloth bound classic that Ash would like to get eventually, so I'll just go for that and unhaul this now. Fugitive Pieces by Anne Michaels. I picked this up because I think it's on my 100 book scratcher map thingy, and I really like these editions, but I know I'm not going to read it. Anytime this challenge comes up, if I'm randomly generating my TBR and it lands on this, I just go absolutely not. If I'm having that kind of a reaction, why bother keeping it on my shelf? One day I might actually care. Today is not that day. Then The Sellout by Paul Beatty. I would really like to read this, and I want to keep it on my shelves because they've got the same initials, so it works great for that challenge, but I know I'm not going to. I need to be honest with myself, and I can always listen to the audiobook if I do need to pick it up, but I don't need a physical copy. I think it will be a really powerful read, but I'm just not in the brain space, so it's best just to clear it off for now, and I can always get it again later. I've had this on my shelves since 2018. Next up, I'm getting rid of The Modern Fairy Tales by Holly Black. I think I got this from an unhaul or bought it off someone, and I've just decided I'm okay to not. I've heard that they're not the best, and it's just, I have other things and other books that I would prefer to read over this. That is precariously stacked. Then I have White Fragility by Robin DiAngelo. I know I'm not going to read this after knowing that there are better books on racism by the black community that is affected rather than a white author. I know I got it at a charity shop, so it didn't actually support them and supported my local op shop, but I know I'm not going to do it, so let's get rid of it. And then I have The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I did enjoy this, and there were definitely moments of beauty. I've tabbed it, but I'm not going to reread it, and I don't care to own it. Another one of these beautiful editions, I've got The English Patient by Michael Odanchi. Again, I bought it because of the cover, not because I actually want to read it. I believe that I got this from Ash's work, so hopefully if they're still in publication, I should be able to reorder it in if I ever did want them, but I'm okay for it to fuck off. Moby Dick by Herman Melville. Nah. Look at that text. Absolutely not. No, thank you. That is too small, and my brain is not big enough for this book, so it can go. And then I have an arc of The Great Fox Illusion by Justin Edwards. I think I will really enjoy this, but I keep glancing over it. I got it as an arc from Ash's work, so I'm going to return it back to them and just be like, I'm sorry. It did come out in April of 2022, and I grabbed it well after then, but I think that there are more options for other people to love it, and potentially if it doesn't go to one of the co-workers, if it goes into public circulation with a kid, I think that would be the best home for it. Then I have The Sanatorium by Sarah Pierce. I think I got this from Krystal's Unhaul. I just know that I'm not going to get to it. I think this was one that I mentioned and Krystal's like, it's fine, and I'm like, I know it is, but I have so many other things I would prefer to read over this. So, and then it's the start of like companion mystery series, and I can't be bothered, so I'm gonna pass on it. Of course, I didn't realize my battery was low before filming, so I apologize if I cut off mid-sentence. The next one is An Exciting and Vivid Inner Life Stories by Paul Dalla Rosa. I just have no interest in reading this, and even though it's small, I can't be bothered. I think that was sort of where my brain went. It was like, I have so many other things I want to read. Why am I keeping this on my shelf? The Last Magician by Lisa Maxwell. I think I will really enjoy this, but it was sitting in a really uncomfortable spot on my bookshelf, and I just don't think I'm going to get to it anytime soon because it's the first in a series. I think I will enjoy it, but I'm not prepared to have it languishing on my shelves when I know that I will be picking up other things and more first in series before even thinking about getting to this. So let's give it some love and another home. I do love this, but I can always pick it up again later. I don't need to hold on to it just for the sake of holding on to it. 12% Dread by Emily McGovern. I read this earlier this year and it just wasn't the right vibes for me, so I'm happy for it to go. How Do You Like Me Now by Holly Bourne. I've been holding on to this, and it's gone and been saved from so many unhauls because I was like, it will be great. I love Holly Bourne's writing. I've read one of their works. I have read the first in the Spinster series, and I was like, yeah, this is going to be great. But I just don't think this is going to be the right book for me right now, and I kept looking at it on my shelves and going, I really don't want to read that. So if that's how I'm feeling to it, bye. Shadow of the Fox by Julie Kagawa. Again, this was an Owl Crate edition, and so it is beautiful, and I do think that it will be a really fun read. First in a series that I have no intention of starting anytime soon though, and I feel like other people could get more out of this in circulation than I will at the moment. Books by Christina Dalsha. I've heard not great things about them, and so that's kind of sad because I quite enjoyed this, but I don't need to hold on to it, and I think it would be better in a charity shop where other people can not directly support them again. You know, it's been sitting on your shelves for way too long when there's a fucking bug on it. Oh, no, not on me. Deviate by J. Krystal. I have the third one in one of these stacks as well. I really like this series, but I can't be bothered. Sorry for any angle change, camera battery died. Two silly purchases were from my library book fair, and that was The Tale of Shikando by Lee and Hearn, books 1 and 2, 3 and 4. I'm not going to get to these anytime soon. We'd rather get them in different editions that match to all of the other ones. And I knew when I bought these that it was a mistake, but they're here and they can continue on in the world and have a lovely time just floating around. Next up, we have books 2, 3 and 4 in the Castor Chronicles by Kemi Garcia and Margaret Stoll. I have DNF'd this series. I read the second one and it's nostalgic, but I don't need to read these. And I feel like I would be wasting my time when I could read other things that are better done, that I have more enjoyment with. So the first one will hold a special place in my heart, but I will get rid of these. Then I have Maya by Justine Gardner, and this, I love Sophie's World so much. I still have my copy of it, but I keep looking at this and going, I really have no interest. I only bought it because of Sophie's World. I don't think there is any connection to it, and I know that I like their writing style, but I have other things, so off it goes. Love and Misadventure by Lang Leave. I really enjoy poetry, but I don't feel like I need to hold on to it all the time. And I think they're important, but I would rather have this in circulation where someone else can enjoy it as well. And I know that the audiobooks are on script. The Fantastic Mr. Fox by Roald Dahl. I just realized I don't actually need this edition. I have plenty of others, and this can go to a more loving home where they're actually going to reread this. Whereas this is not one I reread unless I was teaching it, and she ain't teaching shit. Max Romy Super Spy by Deborah Abuela. I had picked up the first and the fifth and then realized that was a mistake. I don't want the whole collection on my shelves. I just want the first one for the nostalgic vibes, and so I've kept the first one and I'm gonna get rid of this. Hopefully a kid will be wanting to read this series and be able to stumble across it, because it is a really awesome series and I loved it as a kid, so happy to put that back out in the world and acknowledge my mistake of purchase. Other poetry, I think this might be one of the last, is Milk and Honey by Rupi Kaur. Again, I just don't feel the need to hold on to these anymore, so bye. City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. I don't need this. It was on my rainbow shelf and I thought, oh, you know, like I should keep all the things that are on my rainbow until I finish it. No, why am I doing that? I don't want it, and let's condense it, so bye. I do love these editions though, so much, but I'm not gonna buy them in those editions, so I don't need that. Through the Dark by Alexandra Bracken. This is a collection of short stories, I believe, set in the Darkest Minds world, and I have no desire to pick them up. I thought that there was a last book, one that's like set after and following people, but I'm counting it as done. So moving on. Wolf by Ryan Golden. I got this at a book fair, similar to quite a few of these purchases, and I was just like, yeah, I'm so interested in reading that. I got it home and I was like, I immediately regret buying this. I don't want to read it soon, and I've made a mistake. So back into circulation it goes. Then one that breaks me is the Every series. So we have Every Day, Another Day, and Someday by David Levithan. I loved Every Day. I loved the second one as well, and I had started this in February and hadn't made it past page like 100, and I've decided to DNF the series. I have however much left of that and I would be done, but I can't put myself through it. I don't want to, so we DNF'd it and it's going. For the Wolf by Hannah Witten, I got this, I think, mate from their work. There was a bug squished in the cover, which, like, fine, whatever, and the back page is ripped off because it was a damaged copy. I'd rather pick this up and read it when I'm ready to, rather than have it languishing on my shelves, and I think I'll enjoy the duology, but am starting to realize that I would like my shelves to be a little bit more reflective of not grungy, you know, not having bug squish in them and stuff. So I would like to purchase this. I didn't even pay for this, so I can support the author and hopefully enjoy the series, but I'm not going to do that anytime soon. It will be when I'm ready to pick this up. The Scapegoat by Daphne du Maurier. I read this for Lauren in the Books' book club 3 years ago, 4 years. I enjoyed it, but I'm not going to reread it, and I don't want to hold on to it. Goodbye Perfect by Sarah Barnard. This was one of my unhauls, and I didn't read it, so off it goes. Same for actually the remainder of this stack, so I've already talked about these in regards to getting them off my shelves, and that's Hatchet the Return by Gary Paulson, the second in the Hatchet series, 5 Feet Apart by Rachel Lippincott, Warm Bodies by Isaac Marion, Hollow City by Ransom Riggs, and The Kingdom of Back by Marie Lu. Someone has commented on a video recently saying like, please give this a go, and whoever that was, I will, but I'll listen to the audiobook. I don't need to own a physical copy. So hopefully someone else can also enjoy finding this physical copy, and I can also enjoy the story in audio route. Wow, there's so many books. Uncommon Type by Tom Hanks. Read this earlier this year, just not my vibe, so let's continue on and not have that on my shelves. Sorry Aoife, please don't disown me as a friend. Then these are actually from Ash's shelves. I think he does have more that he wants to unhaul but hasn't actually gone through his shelves yet. He has The 100 by Cass Morgan and The 100 Day 21. I have no idea what this is about. I know there's a show. It's weird unhauling other people's books. This speed up loved version of Crime and Punishment, and we now have a pretty cloth-bound classic. The Candy House by Jennifer Egan. Hasn't heard great things about it. It wasn't what he was looking for, so he is happy to send this arc back into circulation, and this also came out in April of 22. This version of 1984, I think he wanted a reader's copy, and I feel like we have a few copies of 1984, so we didn't need this particular version. That, or he left his reading copy somewhere, bought this, and then didn't needed. It's going. Boys Follows Universe by Trent Dalton. We're finally unhauled every fucking copy that we own. I think we've had 4 copies of this goddamn book and neither of us have read it. So we're ready to pass it along and make our peace with not reading it. Same as All Our Shimmering Skies by Trent Dalton. It's not gonna happen. We're aware of this and that's okay. It's great to support Aussie authors, but they have enough love. And then Think of a Number by John Verdon. I have no idea what this is about. Looks kind of creepy. Then I have Time of Trial, which is the Lords of Magic Ball. I got the edition that I'm wanting to get, so I could unhaul this one. Diving into classics and non-fiction for a minute, we've got this version of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. I don't really like this version. It feels weird, so we've got other ones. J.D. Salinger, 3 Early Stories. It's literally like fucking 50 pages, but I have no interest, so why am I holding on to it? Agatha Christie, A Pocket Full of Rye. I have always been interested in Agatha Christie, and I got this in like a auction house box of books, and I thought it was really cool. Like, the cover is pretty sick. I really wanted to collect old editions of books, but I'm just realizing that I don't enjoy reading them because they're falling apart and I'm scared I'm going to continue to break them, so I just don't ever pick them up. So sure, it's cool to have a collection, but do I really need to keep them when someone will get something out of this and having it in their collection is going to bring them a lot of joy? Same as The Hunchback of Notre Dame by Victor Hugo. Yeah, this edition, it's a choice. I also just don't have any interest in this story. Kim by Rudyard Kipling. I keep going to want to read this and just don't. So bye. Dracula by Bram Stoker. As you might have seen from my book haul, my sister got me the most amazing edition of this, and so I'm happy to pass this along. Also, that's a pretty ugly cover. Then I have a few Signet classics. So I've got Macbeth and I've got Hamlet. I bought them because of the cover and they were like $2, but also kind of mank, so we can get those in pretty editions later. All Quiet on the Western Front. I don't like war books, so it's very hard for me to enjoy a war story. This is one of the better ones that I have read. I had zero interest in holding on to this for any longer. Is that a bubba? I'll be back later. Bye. Hello. So Ash's family just dropped off a bunch of stuff that they had at their place of Ash's, and I opened up one of his boxes of books and immediately saw and proceeded to hysterically laugh because I had just said that we'd got rid of all the editions. We have now got rid of all the editions. I regret doing that. Please, for the love of God, stay balanced. I also now have a cup of tea, and let's fucking do this. Oh my god, there's so many. So, classics. We've got Great Expectations by Charles Dickens, as well as Nicholas Nickleby. Nah, I'm good. I'll get pretty editions eventually. The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. I keep not picking this up. can always listen to the audiobook. Would prefer a different non-movie tie-in. The Never-Ending Story by Michael, and I think I will really enjoy this. I don't want to hold it on my shelves while I am waiting for the mood to strike, because I have had many opportunities to pick this up and just haven't. Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I really should read this. I'm not going to anytime soon. I don't particularly like this cover and that sticker annoys me, so bye. Flowers for Algernon by Daniel Keyes. I really enjoyed this, but I just don't feel any desire to hold onto it anymore. I don't have the Masterworks collectives, and I just, I'm happy to continue to pass it into the world. Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. I really like this cover, but this book just does not appeal to me in the slightest, so goodbye. The Curious Life of Benjamin Button I have read before, and I don't care to reread it, so off it goes. Catch 22, I read this earlier by Krystal, and I just have no inclination to hold on to it. Runaway Horses by Yukio Mishima. Again, it's got it at a charity store, I think, and I don't need to hold on to this when I don't think I'm going to read it anytime soon. Old Man in the Sea by Ernest Hemingway. I didn't vibe with this. The best story Hemingway has written. Oh dear, that's concerning, because I didn't care. Ulysses by James Joyce. This behemoth needed to go. It is too big to be sitting on my shelves. It intimidates the fuck out of me. I have no idea what it's about. I don't care to find out. I don't need this sitting on my shelves anymore. A couple of non-fiction. We've got #MeToo Stories from the Australian Movement, edited by Natalie Connew, Christine Nyman, Maggie Scott, and Miriam Stead. I do still want to get to this, but I don't think I'm going to. There are other areas and topics I would prefer to read about, or different ways of looking into it, so I'm just not going to. That's fine. This is going to move on into the hands of someone that will read it faster and get more out of it, hopefully. How to Have Feminist Sex, a fairly graphic guide by Flo Perry. This is like a little activity book, and I enjoyed reading it, and I think it's important. I just don't think I'm ever going to refer back to it. I do enjoy looking back and seeing like some of the little bits and pieces, but I don't need to hold on to this. And I feel like other people could get more out of it. The Wind Up Girl by Paolo Balagucci. I read this earlier this year at the recommendation of my friend, and it just wasn't exactly what I was looking for, and that's totally cool. So I'm actually going to pass this on to someone who will really love this and get much more out of it than I did. The Penguin Book of Norse Myths, God of the Vikings by Kevin Crossley Holland. I've been holding on to this for the longest time, and honestly I don't need to. I have other ways of consuming my Norse mythology, and whilst it's interesting and it does have illustrations and drawings, I just find that that is a lot of words. I'd prefer to read it more in a story format than in the way that it's presented in this one. Here's my other John Marsden's. So I've got Letters from the Inside and Checkers. Both of these had a profound impact on me as a teenager, but I, again, don't need to hold on to them. The next two I'm getting rid of because I really want them to be in circulation, and the first is An Unquiet Mind by Kay Redfield Jamison. This is Kay's experience with bipolar and being able to navigating the line of working as a professional in the mental health care world, as well as dealing with her own manic depression or bipolar disorder. And I read this for the Bipolar Book Club. There are some that I'm holding on to, but there are some that I definitely want other people to be able to experience, and I think this is one of them. The other one is The Trauma Cleaner by Sarah Krasnostein. I think that this is really important to have out in the world. There is not a lot of trans rap. Whilst there are elements to this that will not vibe with every trans community, every trans person is different. So I think that a lot of people could at least gain some insight by having this in circulation, especially being in a small town in Australia. So hopefully this will make its way into the hands of someone that needs it. Then I have Wind Witch by Susan Dennard. I'm just not going to continue on with this series. I haven't heard great things about the later books in the installment, and whilst I really enjoyed Truth Witch, I want to reread it before continuing on with the series, and I just don't have any desire to do that at the moment, and I probably will forget about the series once it's off my shelves. Then I have two that are very upsetting to get rid of, and that is Hidden and Broken by Marianne Curley, which is books 1 and 2 in the Avena series, I want to say. I'm only upset because I want to buy them in better editions. So I have named that whole series by Marianne Curley, and I adore it. They're all signed by her. That she's actually close friends with one of my mum's family friends. I got these at at my library book sale, they got rid of them out of their collection because the third book had gone missing. They didn't feel much point in repurchasing it and decided just to get rid of the whole series. But I'd rather get these in nicer editions, which I know I can do, that don't have the library binding on them, and scribbled out up the top, and actually put my money towards supporting Marianne, as well as having supported the library when I did purchase these. So I'm not sad about it, but also I would like to keep them on my shelves, but I look at them and go, okay, let's move on to some other things. Then I have the Wayfarer duology by Alexandra Bracken. So Wayfarer and Passenger. I was really intrigued by this for the longest time, and then I was going through and unhauling everything and realized I really don't give a fuck. I got these from, was it Ash? I think someone's unhaul, or I bought them off them, but I've just realized they're chunky beasts and I'm not really vibing them at the moment. My library also has them, so I want to pass this beautiful looking duology onto someone who's actually going to read it and love it. And then Shatter Me by Tahara Mafi. I actually have a little note from the person. I bought this off, I think it was someone's Instagram. Their name's Casey. The more I sit with this, the more that I realize this series probably isn't going to be for me. And like their note says, thank you for choosing so much to buy 2 books off me. They make me so happy they are being welcomed into a new home. I hope you enjoy them. I want them to go to a home that is going to love and cherish them. I don't think they're going to be bad books, but I could definitely see a teenager in my local area stumbling across this and being absolutely enamored with it. So I hope that that's the way that this goes, but I think it's best out in the world and not lingering on my shelves and actually getting enjoyment. Then I have Son of Sin by Omar Sakar, and again, this looks to be a really interesting family tale, but I just know I'm going to procrastinate on it. It's going to be one of those contemporary Australian fictions that just sit there forever and a day and never get read. What's the point of having it on my shelf when it's got Australian Muslim representation and queer Muslim representation when someone else could need this a lot more than I could, just lingering on my shelves? So off it goes. The next stack is the 6 Earth Children's series. So I read the first 3 and then decided to NF the series at the 4th book. I just couldn't continue. I had no stamina left for the series. My mum said it doesn't get any better, and so when she said that, I was like, okay. I literally bought the 4th book earlier this year to be able to complete the series, and I was so excited to like sort of get them in these matching editions. I can't do it. I don't have the stamina to continue on with the series, so they're gonna go. Then I have Beastly by Alex Flynn. I adore Beastly, but if I'm being honest, I love the movie more with Vanessa Hudgens. It just makes my life, so I'm going to pass this on. Again, I got it for my nostalgia shelf, but do I really need it? No. So let's keep my shelves to things that I am excited to reread consistently, and I know I will just watch the movie to this. Next up, I have Not My Type by Evie Mitchell, and this was an unhaul from Steph from Novelty Corner, and I want to put this out into the world. I want more people to be able to pick this up and see the gloriousness that this is. So this is one of those that I'm like, I am absolutely so excited for whoever gets to pick this up next. And I do love this series, but I know that I probably wouldn't purchase the books to have on my shelves, so I'm happy to just come across them as I do and pass them on to more people to be able to get this beautiful sexual disability right. Next up, I have Persepolis by Marijan Strapai. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, my apologies. This was a interesting graphic memoir, but I'm never going to reread it, and so I feel like other people should have the opportunity to be able to. Don't Judge a Girl by her cover, which is the 3rd in the Gallagher Girls series. Again, with the whole nostalgic thing, I got this thinking, I want to collect them all. No, I don't. It can go again. I still have the first one. Next up, I have The Gilded Ones by Nomina Fauna. This is the Alcrate version of this one. It is stunning, but I have the paperback version, which was gifted to me by April. So I don't want to hold on to the 2 copies, especially considering I haven't read it. I know that I won't be able to get a matching edition for this one, whereas for the other one I can, although that one also has teal sprayed edges, but I think the rest of the series would be more matching to that rather than the hardcover for this, so I'm going to pass this on and hopefully someone will get to enjoy this. Then I have Eleventh by CC Bell, and this is a graphic novel about a girl growing up with hearing aids. I just want to put it out in the world. I really love this. I thought it was very sweet when I read it, so I'd love for more people to be able to see this representation and be able to get it in an accessible way, especially for kids, although the technology and language in it is a little bit outdated. One to Watch by Kate Stayman London, again from Steph's Unhaul, I believe, and I haven't been drawn to this, unfortunately. I know that it's a plus size girl entering into like a bachelor TV show dating thing, and that sounds really cute, but every time I look at it on my shelves, I'm like, I'm not gonna read you for a while. So I feel like until I'm ready to get to that point, let someone else have plus size rep that is going to be told in a fun way out in the world and enjoying it. So that is moving on. Next up was an ARC from Ash's work, The Whistling by Rebecca Netley. This really just intrigues me, but at the same time, I don't think I'm ever going to get to it. I picked it up because I really enjoyed this cover with the lady in the flame, but I know I'm not going to. There's been a lot of times that I've been like, yeah, no, I'm going to get this. I'm going to get to it. I'm going to get to it. Am I though? We're just going to pass this one along, but I think that there have been some decent reviews. I have heard people DNF it, but I've also heard some people say good things, so hopefully it will find a home that truly loves it. Next up is also an ARC, and that is 100 Days by Alice Pung. I get stuck on this one because I feel like it's going to be super interesting, but I just never feel like picking it up because it's a fractured fairy tale exploring fault lines between love and control. Her mum locks her inside a house when she gets pregnant at the age of 16. So that's all shit that I like, but I just keep not. And every time I look at it, I go, So I don't know. I don't know what to do. I think I'm having like a reading existential crisis, and that's fine. Then I have True Life, which is the third in the Lifelike series by Krystal. So like I said with DB8, this is the last book that I have to read, but I just don't want it on my shelves, so it's going. So the next up I have Doniel Clayton's The Bells and Everlasting Rose. The third book is coming out, but they've done a complete cover change. They're not going to match, and I'm sad because the covers are horrible. Like I don't usually like people on the cover, but I love these. They're stunning, and the fact that it's fucking completely changed, and I don't want to hold on to this series anymore because I feel like I waited so long to get the third book and it's not what I thought it was going to be. So hopefully someone else can read these and love these, or get a matching one for one that they needed. And then I've got Thread Needle by Kari Thomas. This is the start in a series. I think I could enjoy this, but I'm just not going to get to it anytime soon. So we're just gonna pass this along and hopefully someone else can love and enjoy it. Then I have Truth Witch by Susan Dennard. Again, none of my editions for these match, so there is a set that I would like if I did ever decide to repurchase these, but this is the first, and I really enjoyed this. Knowing that the series is not going a upward trajectory, I am happy to cut my losses. Then all of these, I think, are from my rainbow shelf, which is now very small. I've got Orion Lost by Alistair Chisholm. This is because I want more sci-fi middle grade out in circulation, and I feel like it's doing more good giving love and sci-fi vibes to kids rather than sitting on my shelves. So happy to pass this one along. Paper Towns by John Green. Read and enjoyed. It's a lot of fun, but again, I think it's better being on a teenager's shelves who's actually really gonna love this and hold on to it and like cherish it as fundamental to their core. Perfume by Patrick Sukind. This was just a fucking wild ride. That ending I still have not gotten over, so I'm happy to traumatize someone else. Fun. When Dimple Met Rishi by Sanya Menon. I'm not going to continue on with the companion novels in this, and I would like to see this rep in the hands of teenagers that actually need it rather than languishing on my shelves. I really love this. I thought it was so cute and adorable, but it doesn't need to stay, so off it goes. His Name Was Walter by Emily Rodda. Again, I got this from April, and every single time this came up for me to read, I didn't. And so I'm just going to cut my losses. This was the one green book that the rest of these I had read. This was the only book that I had unhauled from that I hadn't read. But it's okay. I love Emily Rodda's Rowan of Rin, and I'm happy to just cherish that and also dive into the Del Toro quest, but I'll get them from my library. Beautiful Broken Things by Sarah Barnard as well. I really enjoyed this. I thought I was very surprised by it and very happy to have read it, but there are companions, series, continuations, and I just have no interest in it. And again, I would rather just have this on a teenager shelf rather than sitting on mine. The Girl from Everywhere by Heidi Hellig. I enjoyed this. It was a good time. I don't think I'm going to continue on with the series. It is only a duology, but I don't think I'm going to get a matching book, and if I do end up wanting to finish the series, I can just listen to the audiobook. I don't need to own it. I feel like I'm going to cause myself more grief trying to get matchy-matchies than actually enjoying and loving it as a whole, so I might as well just unhaul this one, and if I do want to continue, listen to the audiobook instead. Oh My Gods by Alexandra Shepherd. I love this. I had so much fun with it. It was absolutely adorable. I wholeheartedly would keep on to this, but I want more people to read it, and I don't think it's got enough traction where I am, so putting it out into the community to say hello, enjoy. And then Save the Date by Morgan Matson. This survived so many unhauls. I cannot tell you how many it managed to make it through. Like, that was symbolic of it was going to be unhauled. It was on the chopping block to go on my self-destruct, but because it was on my rainbow shelf, I didn't. And then I ended up reading it. So then I felt okay unhauling it because I've read it and I can say that I enjoyed it, but it wasn't anything earth-shattering, so I'm happy for it to move along. The final stack is my entire Raymond E-Fice collection. I have read their first series, which is The Magician World. I can't see where the other ones are, but it's Magician, Silverthorn, and A Darkness at Sethanon, and I really enjoyed them. I do really like Raymond Feist's writing, and I feel like I will enjoy their future stuff, but at the moment I've collected so many different editions, so many different formats, so many different just stories and narratives that I didn't even separate it on my TBR. I literally just had Raymond E-Fice. And then when I finally broke it down and put on all of the books on my TBR, I was overwhelmed. With Robin Hobb, it feels different. Like, I don't know how many I have of theirs, like 8 or 10, but this was just too much. And them not being something that I was absolutely passionate about, like the same level of Robin Hobb, I just decided, you know what, let's start clean. Let's clear off this shelf and we can work our way through. I can always pick them up via audiobook if I ever feel the need to read another one. I don't have any inclination to pick up the next series, and so they were just sitting there, and I decided fuck it. So I don't know what order they're currently in. I have them in 3 piles, so we're just going to go through the titles. We've got Magician, Mistress of the Empire, which is them and Jenny Wirtz's combo, Rage of a Demon King, Shards of a Dark Queen, Shards of a Broken Crown, At the Gates of Darkness, Jimmy the Crawler, Rides a Dread Legion, A Kingdom Besieged, Magician's End. I also had one that I gave to a friend and then never got that back. That was sort of what triggered like the I'm okay to get rid of these. Darkness at Sethanon, Fairy Tale, Prince of the Blood, The King's Buccaneer, Rise of the Merchant Prince, and the final stack, Wrath of a Mad God, Silverthorn, Kings of Foxes, Exile's Return, Flight of the Nighthawks, Into a Dark Realm, Daughter of the Empire, which is Jenny Wirtz again, Servant of the Empire, again Jenny Wirtz, Krondor the Assassins, Krondor the Betrayal, and Krondor Tears of Gods. And finally, Talon of the Silver Hawk. That is it. They are all my feisties. I'm gonna quickly count how many books there are in this unhaul and cry. Maybe have a cup of tea. There's 159 books. There has been one book that I decided to put back because I was super excited to read it at the time and my interest has just waned. So technically it would have been 160. And I'm like, do I put that book back on the stack or do I take something else and put that back on? I've also managed to condense, so all of this is my unread standalones and the entire top shelf is read. Book 160 is The God of Small Things by Anne Ruthie Roy. I bought this going like, oh yeah, this is one of those ones that you have to read. If we can't tell by how many classics I unhauled, I want to get out of that philosophy. I feel I want to read books that I want to read, not because I should be reading them. So I think I'm gonna put the other book back on my shelf and unhaul this one, because I know that in the scheme of all things, I'm not gonna get to this anytime soon, and I can always get it from a library or, again, a secondhand bookstore if I do ever feel so inclined to pick it up again, but I really don't think that I will. So 160. I have unhauled over 400 books in the past 2 years, I think. I used to never unhaul. I collect to keep with my dying soul. Anyway, that's my unhaul. It is mammoth. It is a lot of things I have been considering getting rid of for a long time and just hadn't bit the bullet. But now we're there. Love that. I am happy that there is a mix of read and unread, so my TBR did go down, but also just clearing off my shelves and making them more reflective of my taste. So let me know in the comments if you unhaul, and if you do, what was the most recent book you unhauled. If you don't, or just want to let me know the answer as well, what is the most recent book you did haul? And with that, I'm gonna go figure out how to store all this till I can get rid of it out of my house. If you like this video, feel free to give it a big thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more of this mess, feel free to subscribe. I'll hopefully see you in my next video. Bye!